Hello, hello. Hello and good evening. Hope you are great. Hope everyone's well. Um, yes, here we are. I think it's actually started live. So good evening. Hey, Caroline. Thanks for joining. So I've been doing these morning meditations for so long at 8 a.m. Thought I'd try some 8 p.m. and see how that goes. Yes, so thank you for joining. We'll give just a couple minutes for people to join and then we will dive in. Hey, Tracy and Christine. Thanks for joining as well. So if anybody would like to say hello, and I don't know where you're, I think most people here are Scotland based, but Alison, I missed you too. Then yeah, feel free. And as we go through the chat tonight, we'll just see how long it goes. I'm planning half an hour, 45 minutes. If people have lots of questions, we can see how it goes. Um, and we'll do a bit of meditation and healing at some point through it as well. Hello, Sheena. I keep wanting to say good morning. I'm so used to this being a morning. I miss you too as well. um, yes, so basically, so I did weeks of the morning meditations, which were great and wonderful. And if you are someone who enjoyed those, there's loads to replay and loads to go through as well. But yeah, I really realized that the morning time is really time for me to do my own meditation and channeling and writing and things like that. But I thought I would do some kind of weekly evening events and see if people were available and if they were keen. I figured if we do them later in the evening, it will still set people in a good place to go to sleep. So hopefully there's an opportunity to get you into a place where you're feeling nice and light and clear and calm, so it's easier for you to drop off and have a good night's sleep. Obviously, if you're not in the same time zone and it's like your afternoon or something, well, you'll make it work. It's fine. Yeah. Hey, Mel. Evening meditation. Yes, definitely. Oh, good. Tracy's still doing the morning meditations every day. I love that. That's so great. Yeah, that was my hope, was that if we did enough for long enough, that people would just get into the habit of continuing. So I'm so glad to hear that you're continuing with them. That's awesome. Hey, Elsa, Akos, hello. Abby, excited to join this live. Yeah, me too. Glad you're here. Yes, so we're going to dive in. So I've planned for the next couple weeks to do really a series on transformation. I've got today and the next 2 weeks scheduled in, and we will see what topics come up after that. Hello, it's so nice to see you. Um, so that's the plan. And again, at any point with these, if you have questions, please feel free. If you're watching the replay and you still have questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Just tag me to make sure I see it, especially if it's the replay. But yeah, so we'll go through, and I have a few things to talk through and chat through, and then we'll do some healing. We'll do a bit of meditating, and bring in some energy of change for you as well, is the plan. So I hope that works for everybody. I'm excited. So really, I've been looking at transformation and what it takes to have, whether you, oh, Mandy, hi. Divine timing, I love it. So whether you call that evolution, transformation, change, whatever words you want to use for that. I mean, there's lots of ways you could put it or phrase it. But yeah, I really wanted to kind of look into what it takes for people to actually transform, what it takes for circumstances to transform, what it takes for emotions to transform. Because I think so many people, with everything that's happening right now, can feel very stuck and stagnant and stifled at the moment. But actually, even in those times, there can be massive transformation. So, we're never stuck, we're never limited, we're never really limited by things. There's always ways to evolve and grow and change. Thank you, Alison. This is an opportunity to kind of delve into that and learn a bit more about it. and yeah, hopefully get you in that mindset and in that place where you can allow some deep transformation and change through either the stuff that we're doing tonight and or into the future. So when I was kind of meditating and delving into this idea of transformation, um, what came up first was it really is about a choice point or a decision, and there are always events and circumstances that lead up to that, and sometimes they can evolve over long periods of time. Sometimes they can be bigger things that happen much more quickly. And so in terms of, the decision, there's always a decision on some level. There's always a choice on some level to make a change or to evolve or transform or grow. But what I find, and this is the point where some consciousness and some awareness can become important with this, is that I find that decision and that choice point is either motivated or inspired. And there's a big difference between the two of those. Hello, Claire. So in terms of motivation and inspiration, motivation is something that is external, that is something outside of you, that is something that, it's another person, it's another opinion, it's other circumstances that kind of create a push or a pull for you to change or do something different. Yeah, so, but it's always something that is external. And so, in terms of motivation, it's never very long lasting. It's never something that's very deeply moving in that sense. It usually feels like it's something that you're fighting against or running away from, or that external movement within or around you. Whereas inspiration is something that is internal, and it's something that you are inspired to do. You are inspired to choose it because you know that it's going to create something within you or fulfill something within you that actually is important and that actually is potentially longer lasting, that's definitely more aligned for you. And so what I find with transformation and change in people's lives is either things get bad enough, they get so bad, they're so out of alignment, they're so pissed off, they're so sad, they're so depressed, they're so frustrated. Things are so bad that they're finally motivated to make a change. Or you get inspired enough by the good stuff within you to have that transformation. Whew. And I know that these are the choices that we can make. And we are making them all the time, often subconsciously. But this is all about making the subconscious conscious. It's about making the unaware and unconscious aware. So you can look at your life and you can look at things in your past, times of big change, times of, and that change may have included turmoil and trauma and drama. Or, change and transformation can be inspired by love, by fun, by adventure, by excitement. So you can actually look, hey Emily, so you can actually look at the past and, start to recognize patterns in your life, start to recognize where those choice points were and what either motivated or inspired those periods of transformation and change. Because I know that some people, you start to talk about transformation or change and they get stressed out, they get scared, they get worried, and that's usually because on some level they've waited, or they've waited till it got to that point of being really bad, really uncomfortable, really painful, and then they were motivated in that way to get up and make some changes, to have some conversations, to move house, to move job, to make that big decision. Whereas, obviously there's the times where you are making big change in your life. And look, change is always going to come with some discomfort. It's always going to come with some fear. There's always going to be some uncertainty and unknown within that. So, there's never a time where change is always going to 100% feel like super easy, super, but that's okay. Um, because we're challenging ourselves, we're stepping outside of our comfort zone, you're doing something new. But when you look at the times in your life where you were inspired to take a step, when you were inspired to take a risk, where you were inspired to try something new, there's always more grace with that. There's always more alignment. There's always a much better feeling with that than the times where you were motivated by fear or pain or suffering to do that. Also, inspiration is what keeps me going, but way more easy to connect in my work life than my personal life. Yeah, yeah. So I would say then that maybe is I don't know, challenge is the right word, but an area for you to look at is, how do I have that in all facets of my life instead of just one or two or some of them? Because ultimately, if we have one area of our life that's great, but other areas that aren't, that can still create that push-pull or that conflict. So it still indicates that there's a lack of alignment somewhere. And, we're always, cancel as I say this, but, we're working through that. We're always working through that. We're figuring it out. So if there are areas of your life where you've really got that inspiration, you've got that sense of fun, adventure, joy, happiness, then you can start to look at the other areas that maybe aren't so aligned, maybe that aren't so inspiring or inspired, and start to kind of pick that apart and look at what the decisions are there that are creating that, and what you can do differently. So I always feel like, again, I think, big change and evolution in people's lives, people can be really scared of, but it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be out with your control. It doesn't have to be something that you're pushed into or forced into. The reality is that life is about evolution. It's about growth and seasons and change. Nothing stays the same ever. We can work really hard to try to keep it the same, but it never does. People don't stay the same. We all evolve and change. If you really allow yourself to be in that state where you have that deep understanding that life really is about transformation, then you can allow yourself to be more in that flow of, I'm willing to transform with life, instead of, I feel like I have to fight life in order to control it and keep things the way they are. So if you'd like to have a healing for all of that, whatever that's brought up for you, if that's triggered any old emotions, any old pain and suffering, take a nice deep breath and feel that start to resolve within you. Feel that heal. Just be willing to allow that shift within yourself. Yeah. And relax into that. Feel your body relax. Feel your mind quiet down a little bit. Yeah. So I think a lot of times with that feeling of change and transformation, there's always a movement to it. There's always a flow to it. And that's great. There's an intelligence, there's a divine intelligence to it all the time. I think sometimes that people can become afraid that things are moving too fast, that it's too stressful, or that it's out of control, that they don't have all the details yet. And that's when we fight it. That's when we really struggle with it. But in reality, if you allow yourself to flow with it, it will help to carry you. It'll help to support you in a lot of ways. Yeah, the people who are most exhausted in life are the people who are fighting life, who are fighting its natural state, who are fighting the natural flow of existence and of consciousness and of life itself. Those are the people who are most exhausted and overwhelmed, are people who are fighting what they're actually here to experience. So if that brings anything for you, breathe into that and feel that start to resolve within you too. Oh, that already feels better. Does anybody have anything they want to share or ask about kind of the motivation versus inspiration? If either of those resonates for you, or if you can recognize that you've done more of one than the other. Yeah. Because I think that as we talk through this, as we chat through this, it just helps to bring to mind things from your past that maybe weren't consciously doing or consciously aware of. We can learn so much from our own past. I've really, especially the last few weeks and months, I've been looking a lot at choices and decisions from the past, things I've said and done. And oh my gosh, there's such a wealth of information there when you actually take the time to look at it and understand what those motivations were, understand what those inspirations were, and which one was more prevalent during those times. So it might be worth at some point, today, tomorrow, the next few days, of you kind of looking back at some of the biggest periods of life where there was some transformation and growth, and really allowing yourself to ask those questions. Yeah, was I motivated by pain and suffering, or was I inspired by something more, something better? Says motivation, more work, and inspiration comes from within. So motivation is external stuff. So it's this: I'm looking outside of myself to receive something that I'm actually gonna find within myself. So a lot of times people will use money as a way to motivate them to do more. They're motivated to work harder, to find a new job or something else because they want more money. But then we know, and obviously money is helpful, money is useful, and people who are really lacking in money, that is a difficult, painful, shitty experience. But it's that thing of, if you think that money is going to create the happiness that you're looking for, it's not. It will make life easier. There's a lot that it can help with, but it ultimately is not going to bring you the happiness. It's the same thing for people trying to prove themselves right or prove other people wrong. Being motivated by proving yourself because either you had parents or teachers who didn't support you, who told you couldn't. You got friends or family saying that's impossible, you're not able to. So you're being motivated by all these other things that ultimately aren't really aligned for you to pursue anyway. So you can be motivated by a lot of, people looking at you can be motivated to have a six-pack and a super fit body by looking at pictures. But if you're punishing yourself by denying yourself or hating yourself to try to get to that, it never works. So you've got to find the inspiration in any choice. It's looking at the why behind all of those choices. And if you're not really clear on your why, if you don't really understand that why, then it's probably not going to happen anyway. And it's probably not going to work for you. You may be a bit miserable the whole time you're working towards it as well. So for me, it's really looking at, what are you really wanting to create and what's the why behind it? And you'd be much more able to lean into that inspiration as opposed to getting caught up in old motivations. So hopefully that answers that. Mel, what do you do when you're not feeling motivated or inspired? Then you definitely need to look for that inspiration within. And the question I always ask is, how do I want to feel? So it's, how do I want to feel on a regular basis, and what quality of life do I want to have? That's a good question to ask. And how do I want to spend my time? Yeah. Those are kind of the three ones that help me to get really clear on all of that. Because again, they're not these external things. It's internal. It's, how am I having my relationship with myself, with my time? What am I doing? How do I feel and what's the quality of those experiences? Because I joke about this with my students. A year or two ago, I got settled on this word magnificent, and I was like, if it's not magnificent, I don't want it. So that became the focus for the quality of my life. If the food's not magnificent, the clothing's not magnificent, if the conversations are not magnificent, I'm not interested. So I think if you feel like you've lost a little bit of clarity or focus on how to get that, then maybe going back to the roots of, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel on a regular basis? Do I want to feel peaceful? Do I want to feel excited? Do I want to feel, do you love that feeling of anticipation? Do you love that feeling of, adventure, just being in new places with new people, taking risks? So I would look at that, kind of what are the feelings that are going to help create that feeling of inspiration? Those are definitely good questions to ask. So how do I want to feel? What do I want the quality to be like, the quality of my life, and how do I want to spend my time? Those are great ones to do. So hopefully that helps. Dawn, never losing sight of our potential. Yeah, that's a great one. That is a great one. Our potential is fucking amazing. So definitely keep remembering that. So Tracy, I've been fighting exhaustion and overwhelm for 30 years and only realized that the fight was what was keeping it with me. Absolutely. A couple years of acceptance, but still exhausted and overwhelmed. Yeah, so that's it. If whatever the conflict is within you, that's a great thing to look at, because a lot of us are really conflicted. We're really conflicted in our lives about what we should be doing or ought to be doing, or what are the obligations, and what's motivating me. That's maybe a conflict with who I really am and what I want to be doing with my life. So I would say maybe it's time to go a little bit deeper with that, Tracy, and maybe look at some aspects that you haven't looked at before. Because often we are fighting, we're fighting ourselves on some level. We feel like we're fighting the world, other people, whatever. But if there's conflict in our lives, if there's conflict in our minds, it's because there's a conflict within ourselves. So if you can really go in and ask your body, ask yourself, what is it that I'm fighting with within me? What do I judge about myself, or what do I believe about myself, or what is the fight or the conflict that's there that's creating this exhaustion and overwhelm? Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. Magnificence is a fat focus smell. It's a good one. You get clear on stuff real quick about what you want to have and what you want to create. Yeah. Yes. So, and in terms of transformation, so there's that decision stuff and what's getting you to that decision point. But I also want to talk a little bit about kind of this letting go and receiving. So as humans, we're kind of tend to be in this flow of give and take, or allow, receive, share. So there tends to be this kind of flow. And for some people, that flow is more equal and balanced and harmonious. For some people, it's a little too one-sided. Either they're taking loads or they're giving everything away, and that doesn't work. Neither of those works. We know it doesn't. You can look at people that are exhausted, that are depleted, they're struggling. They're giving away too much. And the people that are taking, it's because they feel they need it. They feel they're lacking. They feel like they don't have enough. So people are pushing boundaries or things like that. It's because they're really struggling and trying to get what they feel like they need. So, in this kind of flow of kind of give and receive, of allow and share, there usually is, in terms of transformation and change, there's usually a bit of both that goes on. So what I mean by that is that, I think we get into this mindset, and there's stuff online with law of attraction and everything else that's all about what can I get? What can I receive? How can I allow? How can I have this? How can I bring this in? So we spend all this time and energy calling in and calling in and calling in. Whereas actually, for a lot of us and for a lot of what we want in our lives, it requires us first to stop and let go of some of the things that are taking up space and time and energy in our lives. So we're often trying to call in stuff that there's no room for. There's no space in your life, in your body, in your energy for something new, because you're so chock full of crap usually. And that can be physically, that could be emotionally, that could be energetically. It's usually on all three levels in some way, shape, or form. So we're asking for change. We're asking for transformation in our life. We're asking for something new. But we've not been willing to set aside the stuff that's weighing us down and holding us back in the first place. So whatever that is triggering for you, taking a nice deep breath and just allow that to start to heal. Allow that to resolve. Because if you are investing energy and dragging all that old stuff around, old perspectives, old emotions, old dynamics, old just stuff, then there is no energy for inspiration. All you're motivated to do is just carry that old identities and that old sense of self around. And that eats up everything you got. So there is no energy for inspiration. You don't have it. So, this is really bringing up some stuff. Keep breathing. So, right now, we've got this amazing, well, anytime really, you've got this opportunity. But we're moving towards a new moon. I haven't brought down my bit of paper. I think it hits on the Tuesday. Or is it Monday? Maybe it is Monday. Anyway, Monday or Tuesday, there's a new moon, which is all about creating what you do want. But in this phase right now, moving from the full moon to the new moon, where full moons are about releasing and letting go. But as we move towards the new moon, we move into this darkness where there's not a lot of light being reflected. But what that means is that, energetically speaking, when there's not a lot of light shining on your life, on who you are and what you're doing, oh my God, that creates so much freedom and space for you to just let go of what's there. So instead of trying to spend all this time figuring out what goes here and what goes here and how do I make these fit together, all this stuff people are trying to fit together and make work that just should just be left behind. Now is the time to leave this stuff behind, to let it go. And even beyond let it go, just surrender it. Oh my God, just surrender it. It doesn't even need to be a big, hard process. If you get really clear that what you want in your life is magnificence, joy, glory. Glory is my favorite word right now. I just want to like scream it everywhere. I'm like, we're going for glory. That's it. I want glory in my life. I want it all to be glorious. That's it. I've upgraded from magnificent to glorious. So if you are so clear on the quality of your life, that that's all you're willing to have, that that's what you're willing to put focus and intention and some effort into, then you stop messing around with the small time nonsense that you've been playing with for years to keep yourself from being bored. Anybody? To keep yourself in identity so you feel like you know who you are. To keep all this stuff just keeps you in these old stories that you've been telling for years and years and years about who you think you are. And none of it's true anyway. If it doesn't align, it's time to let it go. And if it doesn't match that picture of what you really want to be, of what you really want to create, of what you really want to live, why are you spending time on it? Why are you investing energy into it? Why are you putting your focus on it? If it's out of obligation, if it's out of fear, if it's I should do this or I ought to do this, do yourself a favor and surrender that stuff now. We are in this magical time energetically right now. I don't know if y'all can feel it. Oh my God. We've just finished an eclipse season, which is has already started this flow of surrendering, letting stuff go. You can still tap into that energy. It's still there for you. Tracy, because this is the energy right now. That's how I read you. And anyone who else is on here needs to hear the same message. That's why. On some level, you're ready to hear it. So it is really time. This is the thing. People get so caught up in how do I manifest? How do I do this? And I'm like, first thing you need to do is just let go of all the shit that weighs you down. Was that Tracy? Oh my gosh, what's her name? It's that you want to fly, first you got to give up all the shit that weighs you down. That's it, Morrison. That's it. That's it. And I know I make that sound so simple, and your mind is going, but it's not that simple. But actually, it is. And what will happen is, as you allow that stuff, as you surrender all of that, as you surrender those dynamics, those behaviors, those actions, those thoughts, as you really surrender all that stuff, you free yourself and you free everyone else around you who's been caught up in those dynamics with you. You liberate yourself and you liberate everyone else. That is transformation, and that is transformational. When you liberate the people who are also caught up in your stuff, they're part of that too. They've chosen to be part of that on some level. It's not a blame thing. But what if you were the one to decide that you were going to disrupt that and that you were going to transform their lives too? Or at least allow there to be some transformation in their lives, whether they chose that or not. So breathe that in if that feels good. Because I know I feel the expansiveness in that. Yeah, Dawn, the shit really does weigh us down. It really does. We wonder why we're exhausted and tired. It's because you're carrying too much. And you've chosen it. So you can choose differently. That's the empowering part. I was talking to somebody about this earlier. That's the empowering bit of recognizing the role that you play in your own suffering and pain. It's because when you recognize that you're allowing it on some level, that you're creating it on some level, but that you are learning and growing from it on some level too. But you start to recognize that because you've been part of creating it, you can also be part of changing it and helping it transform. That's when we become empowered. That's when we make new choices. That's when we allow ourselves to step into something new. And that's when true transformation happens. So when you recognize that there's stuff in your life that is not working and you say, I'm ready to change it, that's when transformation happens. When you step up and are responsible for yourself and responsible for those choices and you make those new choices, that's when true transformation happens. So I do think that, in terms of allowing transformation, creating that in your life, things like having, acceptance and allowing are really great to have. So we'll do a meditation. We'll invite those in just a minute. I also think that, a little bit of faith and hope is good to have. And a bit of trust in yourself is a good one. And things like creativity and imagination. Because I think when we allow that to become stifled or stuck, when we stop dreaming, when we stop looking beyond, just what's right in front of us or what's been in the past, sometimes we forget that with our own creativity and imagination, we can build and create so many incredible things, incredible aspects to our lives. So let me know if there's any questions about any of that so far. And if nothing comes up in the next minute or so, then we'll go into a short meditation and just kind of take you into that energy of transformation. We'll invite in some faith, some imagination, some inspiration as well. And we'll definitely do some healing for this surrendering and letting go for whatever you feel like you're ready or want to be ready. Even if you don't feel like you're totally ready to surrender stuff, that's okay. If there's a desire to do it, that will get things started, for sure. And then you can work through the details as you go. I feel like we're in a really kind of a magical moment this next week or two, where we can deeply influence the second half of this year for ourselves and beyond this year, but definitely the next 6 months and then beyond that. There's this feeling of destiny, kind of this choice point time right now. So my hope is that people are going to tap into that and understand it and embrace this as an opportunity instead of being scared of it as, potentially scary, potentially hard, potentially, what if I get it wrong kind of stuff, that you can recognize all the goodness that's there and the greatness that's within this time. And the reality is, obviously, you can change your life at any moment of any day. You can change one choice and totally change your life. You can do that any day, but I do think that, there's some alignments, there's some, collective energy that does make things a bit easier in some ways or supports it. Sometimes it nudges us along for those times as well. Oh, I did not know that. That's cool, Emily. So, Emily, it's also currently a portal in the Mayan calendar for changing course. That is so cool. That makes so much sense now. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Yeah, I've been tuning in all this week, and it's like time for change, and now is the time to transform. Now is the time for people to move forward. If y'all can't tell, I'm like on a mission to get this going with people. Like, stop messing around, stop playing games, stop messing with yourself and your life and all of that. It is time to get ahead. Okay, awesome. So I'm not getting any questions through right now. So let's do a meditation. So we'll just do kind of 10 minutes or so. We won't do a very long one, but just enough to kind of get you into a good feeling space. And if you already know some things in your life that you would like to transform, you may have clarity on what you're wanting, or you may just know that you want it to change, and that's fine. So we can focus a bit on that in the meditation. If there's been some of that motivation versus inspiration, we'll do some healing around that as well. And if there's anything you desire to surrender, or you desire to surrender, then we can include that too. Right, so taking a couple nice deep breaths and close your eyes. And just take a moment to just focus on your breath, on the in and the out. Just breathe at your own pace. Breathe some full body breaths. Really fill your lungs and fully empty them as you breathe out too. So with each in-breath, you're breathing in fresh air, fresh energy, newness, new life. And as you breathe out, you're releasing, you're relaxing, you're surrendering. Just allow your muscles to soften and relax. Allow your joints to soften. Allow your thoughts to calm down, to become more focused. Actually allow your mind to focus on the meditation. Give it that job of being a part of this meditation. And breathe deep. And I want you to tune into your cells within your body. So obviously within your body, you have cells dying off and new cells being created all the time, all the time, all the time. And as you breathe in oxygen, your body uses it, converts it, and you breathe it out. Every breath, all the time, every day. And you take in food, you eat it, you digest it, you release the waste. You're doing this all the time, every day. So just take a moment to witness all the changing energy within your body, how it heals, how it transforms, how it creates, all the time. And allow yourself to feel the rhythm of that change, the rhythm of that flow. And allow yourself to start to recognize cycles of transformation within your body, and also within your spirit. Breathe deep. And allow yourself to tune in to your past. And first, I want you to allow yourself to recognize the times in your past where you have been motivated to make change, but in potentially negative ways. The times you've been motivated by fear, by jealousy, by competition, if you've been motivated to change through anger, or sadness, or grief, if you've been motivated by unhealthy dynamics at work or in relationships, just allow yourself to identify some of those experiences, some of those times. And just breathe in some healing into that. Breathe in some love, some light. Just allow those dynamics, those patterns to shift and change. Because you don't need to be motivated that way anymore. And feel that shift within your body, within your mind. And now taking a couple nice deep breaths. And allow yourself to connect with times in the past where you've been inspired to transform, where you've been inspired to make new choices in your life, where that inspiration came from within. That you knew that change was going to contribute to your happiness. That choice was going to contribute to you being healthier. You knew a transformation was going to contribute to more joy or more peace in your life. Identify the times that you were inspired to make a new choice, to make a change. Remember that feeling. And as you connect with those healthy feelings that help to inspire you, feel them amplify and grow stronger within you. So take a deep breath, and I want you to look at your life right now, at the things that could change for the better, the areas in your life where you could have an upgrade, where things could improve, where they could be healthier and happier. And now allow yourself to identify what you can surrender in those dynamics, what you can surrender in those feelings, what you can surrender in those events and scenarios and circumstances that would liberate you, that would free you. What anger could you surrender? What sadness could you surrender? What guilt or shame could you surrender right now that would liberate you? What obligations and limitations are you holding? attribute to you feeling trapped, that you're being punished. What could you surrender that would liberate you right now? What feelings of being trapped, imprisoned, forced, or controlled could you surrender right now that would help you to feel free, feel empowered, feel aligned? Now take a deep breath and allow yourself to allow. Allow yourself to accept it. Your liberation, your freedom, your transformation. To recognize what that feels like. Allow yourself to feel into those elements of faith and hope that are within you, that are already there. And allow them to inspire the transformation within you. And tap into your natural creativity and your imagination, which helps you to form it, to build it, to move towards it. And to make the choices in your life that will create that. Because everything is a choice. Everything in your life is a choice. Your transformation is your choice. So breathe in the potential and possibilities of your choices. And any part of you that feels limited in those choices, open your mind, open your heart, so that you can recognize the potential and opportunity for more. Because if you feel stuck, there are just choices that you haven't seen yet. So allow yourself to see, to feel, to recognize those potentials. Anything else you feel like you need in order to allow and facilitate transformation within you or your life? Identify it now. Allow yourself to have it. Allow yourself to be it. Allow yourself to know it. Feel it amplify within you. So allow yourself to play in the energy of transformation, evolution, and of choice. If there's anything that you already know or feel you want to create, allow yourself to picture that now, to feel it within you now. And allow your energy to start to shift and move towards that. So again, those cycles of change within your body, within your mind, within your spirit are happening all the time, within you and around you. So allow yourself to feel that flow with your own transformation, with your own evolution. And take a few nice deep breaths, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Or if you still want to sit with your eyes closed in that energy for a bit longer, that's fine. But if anybody wants to share any insights or information that came through, any questions that you have, yeah, I'm really happy we got a few minutes left, so I'm really happy to hear from you, and we're happy to hear from each other, so feel free to share. We all learn from each other's experiences, so feel free. So Ellis, this message just came through a few minutes ago. So I don't know if you heard at the beginning when I was talking about this. It may be good to hear that again or hear that from the beginning. Yeah, so survival mode is motivation. It is motivation. Being in this, I'm making choices just to survive is being motivated through fear, and we all do this to some degree. And I also want to say I know I'm making general statements about things that can be very nuanced and complex. So please, yeah, understand that I'm talking in a more general way as opposed to specific situations or things. But but what happens is that people get caught up in this cycle of I'm going to cope, I'm going to survive, I'm just going to push through, I'm going to keep doing it, and that creates that exhaustion, that creates that overwhelm, and that's where people get sick and where they get sick of spirit, emotionally, physically. That contributes to a lot of that stuff. Whereas inspiration would be, I'm here to live a life of grace. I'm here to live a life of love. I'm here to live a life of compassion. And that's what I'm inspired to choose right now. So I'm going to make the choices that change my circumstances so that I can move more into that alignment of inspiration. So that would be the difference for me between those two. So hopefully that answers that, or speaks to the point that you were making there. I hear you there. It's often complex and it's not always simple. It's not. But we can simplify our choice processes, and we can simplify the way that we work through this stuff by getting out of the drama of things and getting out of the fear of things and really going, okay, what is the quality of the life that I want to live? What's the quality of the way I want to treat myself or the way I want to be treated? What is the quality of the relationships I want to have? What's the quality of the type of work I want to do? And if we are inspired by those choices, then we are living more a life of alignment as opposed to the survival and the trauma. We're not meant to live in trauma. We're not built to live that way. So it's time to choose differently. Elsa, the Wi-Fi conked out halfway through the meditation. So yeah, so I would say maybe restart. I can't remember. I think it was about 36 or 35 past when we started the meditation, something like that. So hopefully that should help you to find it again. Shuna, I feel awestruck by my own magnificence as I transform. Yes. So this is the thing. We feel so inspired by watching people make these massive changes in our lives. And do you know why? It's because we're inspired to do that too. We know it's within us as well. The things we're stressed about and worrying about and that are so difficult. We know we have that capacity to transform as well. So if you're inspired by watching other people, then you can be inspired by yourself too. Inspire yourselves. So yes, be magnificent as you transform. I love that. I think that's awesome. Yeah, it's time. It's really time. Yeah, so what I would encourage you to do over the next week or so, I'll be back again in a week with another live. So yeah, I would really encourage you this week to look at what transformation can be for you, what it can feel like for you. Beth, I saw an image of Santa focusing on hope and faith and realized that I felt like I lost that feeling of magic as a child. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, so I think it's realizing you can still have that magic, that that magic is beyond what we've been told it is. There's actually a deeper meaning and understanding to magic, and that that's something we can create right now. But yeah, that makes so much sense. Thanks for sharing that, Beth. Shoot, doing seal claps now. Good. Mel, uplifting, interesting insights. Awesome. Thank you too, Dom. Yeah, appreciate your authenticity. Yeah, it's time for people just to be honest and speak the truth. It really is. And yeah, going with what feels inspiring is always going to guide you in the right way. I promise it will always guide you well. Um, so in the meantime, because again, we've just got so much going on, I've got an event on Sunday from 2 to 5:30 UK time on initiating your awakening. Y'all, this is the work. I'm so excited about this event. So if you can make it live, then please do, because it's going to be powerful. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to look at the elements within your life. We're going to look at your intuitive senses, and we're going to look at what it really feels like to initiate yourself to transformation, to stepping up, to awakening, to remembering who you really are. So we're going to talk about the initiatory process and how to invite that into your daily life so that you can create transformation in a graceful way, because this is what it's about. And then on Monday evening, we're doing a new moon ceremony. So the new moon for this month, and yeah, again, looking at new beginnings, what you want to create, what you want to step into, what you want to cultivate and grow in your life over the coming weeks and months. Yeah, it's a powerful time right now. And then obviously I've got the event next Thursday live. But if you have any questions about any of this, you want to get in touch, you can leave comments here, or you can send a private message to the page. For the events, there's events here on Facebook, or you can look on my website withjennifer.com. Yeah. So there's lots going on to play. This is the energy right now. It's just phenomenal. I'm so excited about everything that's happening. Thank you to Tracy. I'm glad it resonated. That's awesome. Thank you to Allison. Excited and looking forward to inspired action. Yes, I love it. Thank you to Abby. Feeling bright and clear. Awesome. Yes, Sunday. See you Sunday. Thank you to Elsa. My pleasure. Looking forward to Sunday. Woo! Everybody watching tonight's meditation. Thank you. Oh, Beth's coming Sunday too. Awesome. Allison, looking forward to the initiation. Yes, it's going to be so awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you to Emily. Choose your transformation. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Choose your transformation. Be empowered by that. Definitely excited for Sunday too. Thank you to Christine. Yeah, so I think that's it for tonight, unless there's any last questions. Yeah, again, feel free to rewatch this at any point, repeat the meditation, hear the information again. You always get the second time around, you get it on deeper levels, or you hear things you didn't hear the first time. But yeah, really happy to hear from any of you. If you've got any questions or insights or things to share, yeah, it would be great. So are you, Caroline. Thank you too. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, I really appreciate y'all being here live. It's so much more fun when there's people to play with. And you guys are an awesome group, so I'm very grateful. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening. It's Thursday, yes. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be back here live next Thursday at 8. And I'm holding events on Sunday and Monday if you're able to join. So speak to you soon. Yes, thank you.